I thought the guy was just looking for his car, but when I got to mine, he was already inside. 3 real December horror stories you'll regret hearing in the dark. The return window. It happened 2 weeks before Christmas. I had just finished a late shift at work and stopped by the mall around 8 p.m. to return a sweater I'd bought my dad. Wrong size. The mall was still packed, but it had that weird December energy. Impatient lines, worn-out employees, families trying not to lose it. I parked on the 3rd level of the garage, close to a stairwell. I remember that because I debated moving to a better lit spot, but I didn't want to circle around again. Inside, the return line at JCPenney was brutal. I decided to kill time by walking around the 2nd floor. That's when I noticed the guy. He wasn't dressed strange or anything. Late 30s, heavy jacket, knit cap. Just standing near the escalator rail, facing away. I wouldn't have thought twice, except every time I glanced back, he was still there. Never looking at anything, just standing. I walked the loop around the floor and ended up back at JCPenney. Got in line again. About 5 minutes in, I noticed him again. This time across the aisle, near the fragrance section. Still not shopping, still not moving, just staring in my direction. Not at me exactly, more like through me. When I finally got to the counter, I kept checking over my shoulder, but he was gone. I chalked it up to holiday stress, got my refund, headed back out into the cold. The garage was quieter now, almost empty. Just the wind and the sound of my own steps. I got to my car, hit unlock, and started tossing my bag into the back seat. That's when I heard the stairwell door bang open. I looked up. It was the same guy. He stepped out slowly and just stood there, looking at me. No expression. At first, I thought maybe he was following someone else, but there was no one else in the garage remotely close to me. I tried to play it off. I got in my car, locked the doors, and just sat there for a second. He hadn't moved. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he started walking toward my car. Not fast, just deliberately. I tried to start my car to get out of there. It didn't turn over. I tried again. Nothing. I knew my battery wasn't dead. I had lights. The engine just wouldn't turn over. He kept coming. I fumbled for my phone, called 911. While it rang, I looked up and he was gone. Not walking, not running, just vanished between parked cars. Dispatch finally picked up. I gave them my location, explained what happened, and they said they'd send a patrol unit just in case. I tried the ignition again. This time, it started. Relief hit me like a wave. I pulled out fast and didn't look back. When I got home, I locked every door and turned on every light. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just a weird guy, maybe mentally ill, maybe just odd timing. But later that night, as I was getting into bed, I remembered something that made my stomach turn. When I got to my car, the passenger door was already unlocked. I never unlocked that door by itself. The next morning, I went outside to check. Everything looked normal, but when I opened the glove box, there was a receipt that hadn't been there before, from the same JCPenney I'd just been at, timestamped 6:42 p.m., an hour before I arrived. No item listed, just the word return. I called the store later that week, casually asked about the receipt. They said that sometimes weird things show up in the system when someone tries to void a transaction but doesn't complete it, that it happens when registers freeze or someone walks away halfway through. I still can't fully explain what happened, but I was just thankful that holiday season that nothing more serious happened. But every time I go to the mall now, I look over my shoulder, and I do most, if not all, of my holiday shopping online now. Blind spot. It happened years back in December, around 11 p.m. My girlfriend and I had gone to one of those massive 24-hour superstores to pick up last-minute holiday stuff, wrapping paper, stocking stuffers, that kind of thing. We figured going late would mean fewer crowds, and we were right. The place was half empty, mostly quiet, except for the overhead music and the occasional tired-sounding announcements. We split up to move faster. She went to the seasonal aisle. I went to electronics. I was comparing phone chargers when I noticed someone watching me. I don't mean staring in a creepy way. I mean the kind of watching you don't realize at first. I just had that feeling. You know when your skin gets a little warm and your brain flags something as off. I looked over and saw a guy in a puffy black jacket standing 2 aisles down. He had a cart, but it was empty. He was looking at phone cases, but barely touching them. Every time I glanced away, then looked back, he was still there. I thought maybe I was being paranoid, but then I moved to a different aisle, smart home stuff, and a minute later, he was at the far end again. No items in his cart, just that slow, wandering movement that somehow always led him near me. When I turned into the next aisle, printers, I picked up my pace, cut across the toys. That's when I called my girlfriend and asked her to meet me at the front. I didn't mention the guy, just said I was ready to go. She met me a few minutes later, carrying a few bags of chocolate and tissue paper. As we headed to checkout, I did a quick glance behind us. The man was there, one lane over, now pretending to look at batteries. Still no items in his cart. We paid, didn't say much, and headed to the car. She asked me why I seemed weird, and I told her quietly, just in case he was close enough to hear. The parking lot was nearly empty. We'd parked under one of those big floodlights near a cart return. Normally I'd say that feels safer, but that night it just made us feel exposed. I unlocked the car. We loaded the bags quickly and got in. That's when I noticed something that made my chest tighten. There was condensation on the back passenger window, but it seemed like it was only on the inside. My girlfriend saw it too. She asked, "Did you leave a window cracked?" I hadn't. I reached into the glove box for the mini flashlight I keep there and stepped out the car. I opened the back door slowly and scanned the back seat. Empty. No sign anyone had been inside, just that little patch of fogged glass. I wiped it with my sleeve and noticed something even stranger. A small smudge, like the kind you'd see from someone resting their forehead against the glass. I didn't say anything. I just shut the door and got in, told her to lock her side and keep an eye out as we pulled away. We didn't see the man, not in the lot, not leaving the store, just empty rows, a few cars, and some carts rattling in the wind. The whole drive home, we were quiet. When we got inside, I checked the bags. Nothing added or missing. It was one of the weirdest shopping experiences of my life. that I'll never forget. The Merge. This happened last December on a Saturday afternoon. I'd just finished holiday shopping at a massive outdoor shopping center a few towns over. One of those giant plazas with a Target, Marshalls, and a grocery store all crammed together. The parking lot was a madhouse. People double parked, kids screaming, carts rolling into bumpers. Total chaos. I was exhausted, had way too many bags in the back seat, and still hadn't eaten. All I wanted was to get home before it got dark. As I pulled out of the lot, I signaled to merge onto the main road, a 2-lane divided highway. Traffic was crawling, and the merge lane was short. I thought I had enough space to move in front of a gray Dodge Charger that was coming up fast. Apparently, I was wrong. The guy leaned on his horn as I merged, swerved a little, then gunned it to ride my bumper, even though the road ahead was wide open. I gave a small wave in the mirror, not sarcastic, just apologetic, but that seemed to make him angrier. He swerved into the left lane, pulled up next to me, and stayed there, not passing, just holding pace. I glanced over. He was staring straight at me, both hands on the wheel, expression blank. It was unsettling. I slowed down slightly to let him pass. He slowed down as well. We drove like that for maybe a full minute. 2 cars, side by side, at 45 miles per hour, before he suddenly cut in front of me with inches to spare. No signal, just brake lights. I hit my brakes hard, barely avoiding him. He just brake checked me. That's when I decided to turn off and take a back way home. I figured he'd keep going. Instead, after I turned off, I saw him back up and take the same exit. I made a quick right into a gas station, pretending I needed something. He rolled through the lot slowly, then pulled over to the side, not pumping gas, just watching. At that point, I went inside, stood near the drink cooler, and waited. When I came back out 10 minutes later, he was gone. Or so I thought. I got back in my car and pulled onto the side road that winds through some semi-rural areas toward my neighborhood. A few minutes in, I saw headlights in my rear view. Same shape, same distance. I turned off my headlights for a second on a dark patch to check. His stayed on. No one else behind me. It was definitely him. He followed me for miles. I didn't want to go straight home, so I turned into a residential loop and kept circling until I lost him. Or so I hoped. Eventually, I parked a few blocks from my place and just sat there, engine off, lights out, and watched the mirrors for any type of movement. Nothing. When I finally got home, it was nearly 7 p.m. My hands were still shaking. I carried the bags in and locked every door behind me. That should have been the end of it, but the next morning, I noticed something strange wedged into the driver's side door. It was a torn piece of receipt paper, the kind stores use for gift returns. Scribbled on it in blue ink were the words, "Learn how to drive." No name, no store branding, no other marks. I haven't been back to that shopping center since. Also, since then, I've avoided making left turns out of parking lots when I can help it, even if it adds 10 minutes. Because sometimes, all it takes is one wrong merge and someone who doesn't let things go. If anyone has experienced something like this around the holidays, tell me I'm not the only one. Which story did you enjoy the most? Let us know in the comments. This is Mr. H. You're listening to Masked Horror.